So the preliminaries, we'll do that for the next, we got about 5 minutes or less. Amen. Is that it? All right. We got, and that, see the clock back there, it tells you the time. So at 10 after, no matter what, it's gonna set this program it to start then. So that gives us about 4.5, 4 minutes to. Okay. We're good, Festo? Okay. That gives us time to go to the Lord in prayer. And before we actually do that, I'm ask Bishop Reed, my friend indeed, if you don't mind, Bishop Reed, before we get started, would you like to pray and introduce our guests? And it's for you. You're the main reason why some of us are here. Yes. Roll. Okay. So we want to welcome everybody to we'll be live streaming this meeting tonight concerning the Ashtoken, and I'm going to welcome right now Bishop Lee. He's going to come up and lead us in prayer. Would you please welcome Bishop?
I gotta stay over here. Oh. Wait, who are you? Okay. Let us pray. Father, we thank you for this day, a day that we've never seen before. God, you made it for us. Therefore, we will rejoice and be glad in it. Father, we thank you for this time. We thank you for life, health, and strength. Now, God, we've gathered here for a meeting concerning the Ashtoken. Father, we ask you to we cover it with the blood of Jesus. We ask you to be in it. We ask you to anoint the speaker. We ask, God, that you bring clarity, and by your Spirit, God, let us hear in the Spirit. Let us see in the Spirit. Open our understanding. We come against every spirit that would in any way try to hinder, block, prevent understanding of what you have to divulge to us right now. Father, we bless you. Take control. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. I just want to remind you of who our speaker is. His name is Mr. Ato Ando. He hails from Ghana, and he's going to talk to you about where we are with the Ashtoken. Please hold your questions to the end. Ask whatever questions you have, because I'm sure he has an answer, and we want to get them all answered. Don't go away with any questions. And I present to you Mr. Ato.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for making the time. Bishop Burden, thank you for making your facilities available to us once again. Bishop Lee, thank you for putting this together for us to be able to be here and catch up a little bit. I know it's been a while. For some of us with the Ashtoken, I'm supposed to sit on this side. No, for some of us, for those of you on YouTube streaming this, the setup is that you won't be able to see me. And so know that I've not changed much, just grew about 5 inches taller. I wish. And so, but yes, how many people have their wallets running, like the MetaMask apps working, where when you go in, you see your balances and things like that? Okay, mostly everyone. All right. I know some of you lost not access, but you're not able to see it. Every now and then, MetaMask has these updates, and on some phones, it kind of resets. And so it's just a matter of importing again the Ashtoken contract wallet, and then you'll be able to see everything. So nothing is lost. Nothing is lost. And today, what we want to do is cover a few things, just for me to have the chance to update you on a lot of things, actually. The project that we have, which is the Ashtoken, since we met last spring, for most of you, we haven't spoken at length since then. And I just want to give you a sense of what has gone on, what is going on, and what is about to go on. Okay. And so I know that late last year through the early part of this year, a lot of us were probably panicking, where you went into your wallet and you saw that your $500 investment had turned to maybe $10. But it is well. Okay. It has not gone anywhere. Last year, it was our hope that we'll be able to build out the Ashtoken project as quickly as possible, so that we could have executed and implemented all the plans that we had to grow the community and to grow the project in scope. And but a few things happened that slowed us down a little bit. For me, on a personal side, I felt a bit ill. I got the cancer bug, but by God's grace, all is well now, and we here as a testimony. And so we also had a need to raise a bit of funding, because to build these crypto projects, you need to pay these developers and make sure that you have the right staff to carry that through. And so that took a bit of time to do that. But now we have finished all of that. As I am back on my feet, we've had the funds to get everything done. We've developed the DAO and the whole ecosystem the way we need it to be, so that we can now fully execute and implement the marketing strategy and all those great plans that we had. The U.S. market as it is, we couldn't do a lot officially in the U.S. market, because when we started, we were talking about just one company at that time. That was GCS Fibers backing up the Ashtoken coin, if you all remember. But if it were to be just one company, it was going to end up being a securities token, right? And those of you with the financial backgrounds and wherewithal, you know that something that becomes a securities token needs to go through the FDIC, the SEC, get approvals and things like that. So we didn't want to get into any compliance issues. That is why we couldn't fully implement the depth of our marketing strategy. But all that is done now. And so the idea today is to give you an update, as I said, about the project. Just trying to get Mr. Festus to be ready here. Okay. All right. Gives us some time. Okay. The title there on top, Early Adopter Advantage. This presentation is much different than the first one you saw, okay, because all of you here are Ashtoken holders, or probably have heard this before, right? So now we're talking about the project itself, okay, not so much about how to buy and all that kind of stuff, or what it is. And so we'll go a little bit deeper in our discussions, but feel free with your questions, okay? Okay, all right, next slide, Festus. Okay, thank you. So today we want to take a look at the Ashtoken ecosystem at a glance as part of our presentation discussions today. They will give you an update on the whole project. We'll speak with you about some of the current initiatives that we are undergoing as a community, and then the next steps for the project, right? The next step for this project, and then hopefully we'll share with you what we feel to be the salient points and some of what we should be taking away from these discussions. Essentially, we want to remind you all about what makes the Ashtoken different, what makes it special, okay? And so let's get into that a little bit. Next slide, please. Okay. The early adopter advantage. The great thing, what I'm especially happy about is that all of you came on board at the very, very early stage. That's a tremendous, advantage. Very early stage, where I think when we were here last year, we only had about 500 or 400 holders, meaning only 400 people had bought the ICE token at that time. Right now, we're at about maybe 1,900, 1,800, and we're at about 6,000 plus transactions. Last year, this time, we had about maybe 850 transactions at that time. And so we've grown in transactions, we've grown in the number of ICE token holders. But the key to these projects, much like with a stock, what a company stock is, how early can you get in? How early can you get on board, right? And as early adopter advantage, what that entails is the ability for the early participants to really get a sweetheart deal. You're able to buy the stock, or in this case, the token, when it was really cheap, right? And then, of course, the more you have, because the ICE token is a governance token, right? Meaning that everyone who has ICE token has a vote on how the funds are spent, how these companies that are backing up the ICE token are funded, right? So even if you have one ICE token, you have a vote, okay, in that. So the more tokens you have, the heavier your vote, right? The more influential your vote will be. And then, of course, what we all like, right? We're in this to make money as much as we are looking to help, the environment and these companies that need funding. And so the ability now, since we're able to come in early when the coin was cheap or is still cheap, right? As it rises in value, you're able to cash out at a much higher return than someone who came in maybe 2 years after you or 3 years after you. And then the ability to earn, as an early adopter, you have the ability to earn high referral commission. We are rolling out the commission plan that we have now. We'll speak a bit more about it during our discussions. Generally, on the website, you're going to see a referral commission of 2% to 4%. Well, we're rolling a new program where one can get as much as 10% in commission paid weekly, right, for anyone that you're able to refer to come onto the Ashtoken community. And so we'll speak a bit more about that in just a second. All right, next slide, please. Okay, so I want to give you an overview now for those who might not remember. The Ashtoken is a product of the Ash Environmental DAO, right? The Ash Environmental DAO provides funding to companies that have high impact, environmentally friendly innovations, right? Technologies that help the environment. But we're not looking for, we're not funding hobbies. We're looking at technologies that have a global reach, that we can scale through the global market. It can be in Tanzania, it can be in Germany, it can be in Texas, it can be all over the world, right? And also technologies or companies that generate jobs, high number of jobs. And then not to mention companies and businesses that are generating high margins, high profits, okay? And what these companies do in exchange for receiving funding from the ICE token or the ICE Environmental DAO is returning up to 20% of their profits to the ICE token on a monthly basis. That means that they are now coming to buy, after they receive funding, they will be coming to buy ICE tokens every month, right? In proportion to about 20% of their profits every month, and they have to hold it for 5 years. Okay, holding for 5 years. So that helps the ecosystem. Okay, that helps the ecosystem. I can make these slides available as well, so that it can be emailed to all of you in attendance. Okay, and so again, here we're talking about the other companies that are being funded by the ICE token. The ICE DAO owns the ICE token, and through the ICE token ecosystem, we are funding these companies, right? Next slide, please. Okay, that one, yes. We are funding these companies. All right. Next slide. Okay, so now the project update. It's been a quiet year as far as communication, like the regularity of communications and the depth of our communications with our community. But it's been very busy in the background. If you were to go to the Ashtoken website, www.ashtoken.io, you will see that it has come quite far from where we were last year. It's a bit more robust, has a bit more content, a bit more depth. And what we've done is also made sure that the whole project is in compliance with SEC regulations, as far as us making sure that we not present ourselves as a securities token or a securities coin, right? Because we don't want this project to be halted at any point down the road. And so that had a lot of work. We had to do quite a bit with the website. We've now written out or published that the governance structure for a governance token, which is to say that companies are able to go onto our website and apply for the funding. And two, Ashtoken holders are able to call for votes on particular issues and topics and things like that, right? So this might be a little bit dry or technical, but it's good for me to share this with all of you because it's not just about buying a coin and making money, right? This is somewhat a bit more comprehensive of a project, and you have more power and more opportunities in this project than one might think. Okay, and we'll get into it in just a bit more. The referral program, we've ironed that out a bit more as well, and we'll speak to that a bit. You see the second bullet there, the new Ashtoken contract. If you all remember when you were setting up your MetaMask wallet, you had to go to the website and copy that long string of characters. That is the Ashtoken contract ID, right? That's where the coding behind the Ashtoken is all hidden. Now, when we first launched the Ashtoken in August of 2021, the platform that we use had an issue, right, with the fee structure. So it ended up draining the project of about $150,000. Now, that money is still sitting on our contract, but we just can't tap into it yet, okay? Now, because of that, we couldn't turn on the fee option. When you buy the Ashtoken, there's a 10% transaction fee, right? And then that 10% transaction fee, we take 50% of it, and we share it with everyone who owns Ashtokens as of the time of the transaction. Well, we've not been able to use that fee feature because of that drain from that platform. So we turned it off, and eventually we had to just rewrite a whole new code, and a different code, a whole new contract. And so that's what we had to do in the back, and that is what we had to raise the money for the developers to be able to do. I spoke about the governance, the DAO governance structure. This is where we are able to vote on projects and ideas and topics and decisions as Ashtoken holders. And it is also where businesses are able to get apply for funding, right, from the Ashtoken ecosystem. Okay. So let's say current Ashtoken markets. We are now, of course, in the U.S. We are registered in the state of Wyoming as a DAO, decentralized autonomous organization. We are in Nigeria, we're in Liberia, we're in Kenya, we're in Ghana, we're in South Korea, getting to South Africa. Nigeria actually launches next Monday. Now, you see a lot of African countries here, and we say why. There's a chart that I'd include in there. If you were to Google up countries with the highest participation in cryptocurrency transactions, you see Nigeria number one. You see Kenya. You see a lot of these African countries, all right? And so it helps us to be there. And also, while we couldn't show our face formally in the US, we had to get some marketing done, right? And so we're able to operate in these African countries and South Korea. South Korea is also on the top of the list as far as countries that have high participation rates in crypto. So that is why we've chosen these markets for now, and we'll show you what we're doing here on the US side as well. We finalize our marketing strategy, but of course that is always changing, right? Depending on the circumstances of the markets that we're in. Social media engagements, we've kind of ramped that up. We've had a lot of activity now on our various social media handles, whether it's Twitter or LinkedIn or YouTube or Instagram or Telegram. All of those are very, very busy now, and we have a slide on that I'll speak to in a little bit. And also, we want to show you the performance of the Ashtoken since our lowest price point. Our lowest price point was it happened on the 1st of September 2021, and that is when that's the issue that I just described, where the platform that we used to launch the Ashtoken in August, a month prior, had the gap right in the thesis feature where it drained the project of $150,000. But that was well before all of you came on board. All right, next slide, please. Okay, so at the moment, right, the Ashtoken has applications from 5 companies: Eco Green Solutions, GCS Fibers, which you might remember, Meta Fiber, Cyanide Energy, and Transvolt. Eco Green Solutions is a company that captures greenhouse gas emissions, right? And it's able to capture greenhouse gas emissions at efficiency rates of somewhere between 96 and 98%. Okay, natural gas power plants, which we're all excited about these days, is able to capture, has an efficiency rate of 96%. And so, with Eco Green Solutions, even coal power plants can have as efficient operation as natural gas power plants. Now, Eco Green Solutions is about has gone through the prototyping phase of the operations. They're just looking to now go commercial. Okay, and it's a sister company to GCS Fibers. The technology that Eco Green Solutions has for the emissions capture is embedded in the GCS Fibers manufacturing operations. And so the idea is been licensed to GCS Fibers. So as GCS Fibers resume its operations in South Korea and elsewhere, industry can have a look, and then we'll work with industry to transition that technology, to market as well. Metafiber is another sister company of GCS Fibers, and what Metafiber does is it takes steel slag, the slag from steel and iron ore when steel is being made, the scrap steel. But because of the chemicals and all that kind of stuff, it's also very hazardous, right? And so we're able to collect all of that and process it into fiber, just like GCS Fiber is able to do with the coal ash, all right? And so that's what that company does. And then Cyanide Energy is a company out of South Africa, and they are able to use solar power or generate energy from solar power operations at rates comparable to natural gas power plants, right, or even coal power plants. And so it's a very, very unique technology that they have, the first of their kind. And again, as you can see, the trend is that companies with innovations that can be scaled, right, in any market. That's always been the goal of the Ashtoken, not just be a platform that can take, one of a technology that's unique to only a niche market. We want technologies that can be really, really scaled up across the global market. Then Transvolt. Transvolt is a lithium battery manufacturing company. And by the way, all these companies are on our website, the ashtoken.io website. If you go there, you click on their logo, a link will take you to their websites where you can read about them. And on their website, you see that they talk about pending receipt of funding from the Ashtoken ecosystem. All right. So these are the 5 current companies. We have about 4 more companies going through the application process. And again, the essence of all of this is that these companies, when they get their funding, even if in phases, once they begin operations, they are returning 20% of their profits to our ecosystem on a monthly basis. So I said before, the Ashtoken is not geared towards the individual investor or the ordinary investor, right? We're looking at corporations, not just corporations that we fund, but corporations, whether it's Exxon, whether it's Shell, all these companies that have a commitment to ESG goals, right? Or the corporate responsibility goals and metrics and things like that. We have a marketing strategy that's targeted towards all these stakeholders. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, now there's a long list of the various social media handles and sites that we have. Again, we'll pass these slides out, And in your spare time, should you be bored enough, I would ask for your assistance and for your engagement on these sites. Whether you're able to go there and follow, retweet, or subscribe to these pages, and just especially that Telegram and the Twitter, Telegram and Twitter, right? Those are huge. YouTube, you see a lot of the video contents that we are producing and updates. We're gonna have live shows on there. We're gonna be streaming Ashtoken updates, like community updates and things like that. Telegram is where we're probably gonna make announcements. Twitter and Telegram, where we're gonna post like emerging news, right? Updates and things like that on there. They'll be on those sites first before we go to the Ashtoken community. Did many of you or any of you receive an email recently? Anybody here receive an email on updates? Okay, all right. So we have to look at the list. We have like a monthly email update now. We've started for the Ashtoken holder community where we give a full update. Okay, we give a full update. So I have the attendance rosters from the events that we did, and whereby there was an email address, we use it. We'll go back and then we'll just make sure we captured all the emails and we'll push that out again. Okay, so that you all get it. But it was a full update in detail over what has transpired the last 12 months. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, this is what matters. I know there were parts last year, especially from August going last year, where you might have noticed the Ashtoken value dipping, the crypto market dipping. November last year, October, November was particularly tough for the whole crypto industry. We might recall the FTX debacle. That's that crypto exchange that had its owner or its founder siphon off $8 billion into his trading a company. And this is what really led us to make sure that led us to making sure that the Ashtoken is a coin that is of substance, right? That is a product of substance, that it has something real behind it. That's a clear example. The FTX issue, where they take money out of the exchange and they're giving it to the investment arm, right? Which is investing those funds, but investing it in crypto. As volatile as crypto is, how can you guarantee a return? Even in the stock market, right? It's hard to do that. And so one way to look at it, you see that it was really doomed from the onset. And we've sought to kind of hedge against that happening to us by what? Making sure we are investing in companies that are outside of the crypto market. You see, outside of the crypto market, where there's more stability, right? Okay, so this is comparing the performance of the Ashtoken from our lowest price point, which was September 1st, 2021, where the platform had an issue with our fee feature, and to the 16th of April, where one can see we've had an 800% growth, right? That's almost a tenfold. Now, let's look at the next slide and you'll be able to ask questions on these. By the way, we'll go back to them. Okay, so year over year, this was as of the 16th of April, where the price of the Ashtoken was, I believe, 2319. Now it's quite off, as of today. If you've looked in your MetaMask wallets, BNB, which we are pegged to, has been coming down a bit from $350. Maybe 4 days ago, 5 days ago, is down to $317. Okay. And since we are on their exchange or their network, we are pegged to them in a way, and so it impacts our price a bit. But this is where we'll have the opportunity to kind of stand out and differentiate ourselves and stand on our own legs. As more people come into the Ashtoken community, right? As more people hear about the Ashtoken, and as the crypto community hears about the Ashtoken, there will be that demand for the coin. And so even as BNB, or let's say Bitcoin, were to have a bad day or to go down, we should be able to see the Ashtoken stand its ground, right? And even trend upward. And so that's the design that we have we've put in place. Okay, so year over year, we're at about a 7% loss. That was as of the 16th of September of April, when the coin was 23.19, like 23.19. Now I think we're about 21. 17, 21, 14, the price of the Ashtoken, probably in the last hour. And so instead of 7% loss, we might be at about maybe 20% loss, right? For those of you who came in last year, this time, to about now, 25% loss, there about it. And I know some came in at different points last year. Next slide, please. Okay. Here we're looking at the last 6 months. As of October last year, we are looking at about 133% growth, okay, as of October last year. And so when you look at how low we dropped when the FTX issue happened in October, November last year, that's quite commendable. Okay. Next slide, please. All right. And then we're looking at the last 3 months. From January. I mean, that's been very, very stellar as far as the performance goes. And it wasn't until about February that the entire crypto market really, really caught fire, if you will, right? And so all this was like organic transactions are happening mainly from the African market, because we haven't had a lot of time to do marketing here in the U.S. It's just now that we are about to start rolling that out, and that's exactly what we've been looking for to get going here in the U.S. All right, next slide, please. Okay, here's the last 30 days up to the 16th of oh, look at the date there. Sorry about that. It should be 2023, 16th April. Oh, yeah. It's it's been tremendous. Of course, not taking into account the last few days since the 16th of April. The price has gone down a bit. All right, next slide, please, and I'll talk about some assumptions. I like this slide. I just put it in here to give people like a sense, right? Kind of like a simple math. The Ashtoken as of the 16th of April, $1 could buy 956,000 Ashtokens. $1. So $100 could buy 95 million and some change, right? I always like to get a sense of what do you call it? What do I get? If the Ashtoken goes up $1, what does that mean to me? If it goes up 50 cents, what does that mean? So that's the visual that I want to give, right? Last year when we met, I shared with you all my goal was that we'll be able to experience a 10-fold increase, right? A 30-fold increase by the end of the year, last year. Now, never want to give an excuse. As Marines, we can't give excuses, right? But such as it was, we just weren't able to meet that. One, my failing health, and two, I would need to raise about $100,000 to pay the developers to get the platform ready, our ecosystem ready. But once again, that's now taken care of, okay? And so we say that if someone spent $100 and bought and had 95 million Ashtokens, what would their portfolio be like? What would the value of their portfolio be if the Ashtoken got to 1 cent? Okay, now right now, the Ashtoken is, that was as of the 16th of April. If you see the current Ashtoken price under that, the table, that's 502326, 5 zeros. Every time a crypto project drops a zero in the price, when we started, it was 6 zeros. Every time a crypto project drops a zero in the price, that's a 10-fold increase. 10-fold increase. So here we are, April 16th, the price of the Ashtoken being 0.502326. The minute we go to 0.402326, that would have been a 10-fold increase. So that means if someone had $100, it's now times 10. All right. So now that our ecosystem is ready for prime time here in the US, right? We need to drop about 2 zeros by the end of July. That's our plan. So that means, yes, at the bottom there, it says 3 zeros. No, that's just for the example. But let's say someone has $1,000 in their portfolio and the first zero drops. That's a tenfold increase, right? So 1,000 times 10 is obviously 10,000. Now, if they leave it in there and enjoy the next tenfold increase, the second line at the bottom, that 10,000 times 10 now is 100,000. If they stick in there for a third increase, the tenfold increase, that 100,000 times 10 is 1,000,000. Folks, from December last year to the 16th of April, we had eightfold increase. Simple. This is crypto. So this is more than doable. This is more than doable. What we need to do, and we've been able to do, is this: get the public to now get the American public to come and know the Ashtoken, right? So what do? We had a press release on Tuesday of last week, where we went to the regular mainstream media, we went to the crypto media outlets as well, right? And announced the Ashtoken. We kind of outdoored it, introduced it. If you were to go to Google and search for Ashtoken or Ash Environmental DAO, a press release, you will see a whole list, right? And so we have to create that awareness. We have to create an awareness, and then we're bringing in some folks with the marketing backgrounds and skills as well, right? Because a lot of this also it goes by word of mouth. Okay, to the extent that one is in it and can demonstrate to someone that, hey, whether you believe it in enough, to communicate that, or to introduce them to the project team, or just refer them to the website, to the videos that we have and things like that. Be able to reach out to them, and then I work to get people on board. So the last line is there is a third increase, right? Like a third tenfold increase, where that 100,000 if left there now becomes times 10 and becomes $1,000,000. I want to see millionaires. I want to see millionaires. We can do this. We can do this. People have done it. Far less worthier crypto projects have done this. They've done this. We can do this. Okay? So this is my personal goal for our project. I need this to happen for me. For me. We're tired. We're tired. We want to have a great summer. We want to end this year with a bang. This is it. Okay? So let's let this slide, kind of resonate with you well. Let's go to the next slide. And again, we'll make this presentation available to all of you. Okay? All right. So current initiatives. What are we doing to grow our community? What are we doing to grow the project, right? Private sale. I mentioned how we had the press release, to create the awareness. With the press release, we're following up now and scheduling interviews with those newspaper outlets, with those radio outlets, with those TV stations and such, right? So we're following up on that. And our first interview, I think, is being scheduled for the 17th or 16th of May. I have to check the date, right? With a newspaper, a national newspaper. So that kicks it off for us, okay? And we're going to do more of these sessions like we did last year. We're increasing our team so that we're going to have teams in multiple states or multiple cities, engaging communities and such, right? After the press release, we're having something called a private sale. And for those who might not be aware of what that might be, private sale is when a crypto project kind of does a fundraiser within the project, right? And so we have a goal to raise $5 million. And the purpose for that goal is to be able to offer the funding, first round of funding, to those companies, to the 5 companies. they're not going to get all the $5 million. About $2.5 million will go to them. Okay, GCS Fibers, probably getting the most, and then the rest as well, right? And what's left, a bit will go into operations. Then what's left of that, maybe $2 million, will go into the project. We're going to use that to buy Ash tokens from time to time, right? So that we feed the liquidity pool. Okay, we're going to make sure there's money in the project. Okay, it's a way for the company itself to also invest in, in the very Ash token project that we have now. So that's what the private sale is about. The private sale is a tiered sale this time, where there's like, I think it goes from $500 to, I'm gonna go to the website, make sure I'm speaking accurately. It's a tier system, pricing system now, this time around, where it goes from $500 to, I think, 2,000. It's coming up a second. So the period for the for the private sale is from the 17th, and it's on our website, the 17th of April through the 7th of May. Okay, and there are discounts ranging from 12% for tier 1, where the investment threshold is $500 to 2,000, all the way to 55% discount, right, for tier 4, which is $5,000 or more in purchase. Now, why should anybody participate in the private sale? One can consider it, or should consider it, because you get a discount on the price of the ICE token. Okay, the lowest discount we say is 12%, but when you look at it, it's actually 22%, because you don't have to pay the 10% transaction fee either, right? So it's really 22% discount at the lowest tier. And the catch here is that participant of the private sale will have to hold their tokens for 18 months. You can't trade it for 18 months because one, you are getting at a very steep discount. And so if you're able to turn around and sell it, then the project then like loses, right? Imagine giving someone 55% discount, and then they turn around the next day and then they sell the coins, right? It hurts the whole project. So that is why there's a vesting period there. But all the while, the increases and all that kind of stuff happen to those assets as well. Okay, they're not shielded from gains in the market or anything like that. So again, that's a private sale. It's running through the 7th of May. And the purpose of that is really to raise some heavy funding as quickly as possible. The target being $5 million, 50% of which we'll use to fund those 5 companies so that they can get the operations going. Remember, once they get the operations going, then it's even better for the for the project, right? Because they are going to start bringing a percentage of their profits to buy IS tokens and make it a fruitful a project for all of us. Okay, so let's see, implementation of the ISAC referral program. This is where those who end up sharing the ISO token with friends or family members, associates, whatever you, and they buy the ISO token team, the project pays you 10% of whatever they buy. Okay, so we have that, and it's a a Doc form that we have for those who want to participate. You just contact us. We'll give you a unique code, like a 6-digit code. And that is what those who you refer will use, and it will tie up to you, to your name. And on the Google form, you let us know how you wish to be paid, whether it's Zelle or what's the other one? Cash App or bank account deposit, or whatever the case is. We'll be able to provide all that information, and we track it. And then those payments are made. The referral commission payments are made weekly, every Monday. So that's how that works. Web and social media site upgrades, we spoke about that a bit. We are working on upgrading the website, iStoking website, so that people can actually buy directly from there, right? MetaMask has also upgraded that app where you can buy from there as well. But right now, when you go to the iStoking website and you want to buy, it takes you to the exchange, right? To the PancakeSwap exchange. We want to make it a little bit easier, where everything happens on the website. So that is in the works now. And that, well, I spoke about the press release that went out on the what was it, the 10th? Yeah, the 10th. That went on the 10th, last Monday, not this past money, but the previous. All right. And again, that was to officially launch and announce the Ashtoken, to the U.S. market. And so we've been getting a lot of contacts from media, right? I mean, not just the U.S., Dubai, because the crypto market is a crypto market. It's a global platform. So the demand, like the increase, have been very, very encouraging, very positive. It's gotten us busy, but it's good busy, and I think very soon it will pay off for us in the whole project. The media interviews, as I said, we're scheduling those now, right? And that will then help us to tell the Ashtoken story, okay? That will then help us. And the key for us is that we're not a coin. We're not selling coins. We're not. We are a platform that facilitates or fosters economic development while cleaning up the environment. That's it. We fund companies that create jobs, right? That generate high profits, right? That make it possible for local, regional, national economies to tax them, right? And help the economies. And then all the while cleaning the environment. This is what the Ashtoken is. The platform is about. We're not selling coins at all. We're making a major, 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 major difference. And then the last bullet there saying that major fundraising. This is where we're going to be going to. Part of our marketing strategy is go to, like, let's say family houses, right? Like the wealthy, high net worth folks who have these organizations that do charity type stuff. Give back to the communities and things like that. We are approaching them. We are approaching the climate change NGOs, organizations that get funding, right? We are approaching sovereign governments. We are approaching states like New York. We are approaching countries like Australia, where they have said they don't want any of their sovereign funds to be invested in companies that are not environmentally friendly. You see, they're shying away from that. So we want to avail ourselves as an alternative, to them. If you take these, especially the oil companies, like the fossil fuel industry, whether it's Exxon, Shell, or whoever it is, right? They're under tremendous pressure for them to show that they care about the environment. Okay, so here we are as an opportunity for them to actually show that they care, while at the same time holding ash tokens that they can cash out. So they're really not losing, right? What they give, they're getting back, because we can't just take the money like that, right? And so these are the opportunities that we provide. And once again, one should be able to really see that we are not geared towards just a regular investor, the individual investor like ourselves. No, we build for institutions, we build for corporations, we build for sovereign funds and accounts, as in whether they're local, state, or federal governments. Okay, next slide, please. All right. Next steps. Next steps. So we want to obviously complete the upgrade of the website. That will streamline things for us and complete it, to enable people to buy directly off the website. We want to be able to do about 10 media interviews by the end of May. Okay. And that's with the radio stations and the newspapers and the likes. We need to hire a chief operating officer. We have one in mind. Will be coming out of your very midst here in Raleigh, North Carolina. We're in discussions with her. She's run a crypto project before, and I think we'll be finalizing our discussions with that individual probably before I take off next Thursday for my trip out of the country. So all of that is to make sure that we've brought on board a full complement of key personnel, okay? Because it gets serious, and we have to be ready to be able to handle that traffic and the activity level that we are expecting, the attention that we are expecting. And so that is on our to-do list. And of course, pursuing these institutional investors, like I just spoke about, and corporations and the family offices and the likes. Complete the private sale by the 7th of May. The goal again being $5 million. And I was sharing with someone, like an audience that I was speaking before last week, that even if it's a group of people, a group of friends, a family coming together, they can still go ahead and contribute in that light, right? And then what they do is they will list their wallets. We'll have a master wallet, and then everybody that's in their group will list their wallet as well. And so when it comes time to distributing their coins, like the ice tokens that they bought after the 18 months, they will all get their proportional amount, right? We'll be able to do that for them where there will be no transaction fee as well. And so it's not left to one person to come up with $1,000 or 500 or whatever the case might be, right? It can be in a group format as well. Implement the new ice token contract. All that means is that you might recall I referenced earlier that there was a glitch when we first launched the project in 2021 where the launch site pulled $150,000 that's still sitting on a contract. We've just recoded things, okay? So that's going to be implemented seamlessly. Nothing will happen to your coins. We're going to take like a snapshot. We'll know what everybody's account has, and then we'll just transfer everything. You won't even notice. And then expand the ice token side, market reach. We want to grow. We want to grow. We don't need to put up offices in every country, but we need to grow our team to address these different markets, right? So we have somebody who might handle Asia in the beginning, someone to handle Africa, North America, so on and so forth. And then as we grow, we divide those markets a bit further. And so for those of you in our midst here who might be inclined, right, do let me know. And as we reach these milestones, these growth milestones, for me, I much rather bring someone who's invested, right? Someone who's invested who has something, who have some skin in the game for us. Bring them on board first, okay, before we go outside and bring on outsiders. And then we talk about the completing the Phoenix Launchpad. Now, this gets a bit technical. I'll try not to lose you by losing myself, okay. Not to toot our own horn, but this project is really big. Okay, we've kind of like divided into small chunks though, so that one, we don't lose ourselves, we don't confuse ourselves. But the entire ecosystem that we've built is called the Phoenix Launchpad. It is a crypto launchpad that is now going to launch different coins. The ice token is just one of them. It's just the first one. Okay, we're going to be having NFTs. Imagine a company like GCS Fibers going to, let's say, Duke Energy and wanting to clean up its ash ponds, right? Well, instead of Duke just giving us the ash or the city or the state, we can just have an NFT, and they bid on it, right? They bid on it, and then our service goes to like the highest. So, that's what they will pay for us to do the service, not to take the ash. So that would be different. Right, so the ice token can benefit from that, and then GCS Fibers will just be able to do the work, right? And so we're doing all of that to really maximize on the opportunities that we have. It's a clear opportunity that we have to do more, and so we have to just build out that whole launchpad so that we can have multiple projects, multiple coins or tokens being launched from there. So that's what that means. We want to be able to now attend industry days and industry conventions. With what we have, we are very, very confident we'll be a draw at any of these industry events. And to the extent that we are in a city or a state where we have some ice token holders, we'll be able to invite some of you to come out and participate and join us as well. We want to make this a very active family, right? A very active community where everyone is able to participate in what we do. Let's make it fun. Let's have fun while generating wealth for ourselves. Okay. All right. Next slide. Okay. I know we said earlier that we can take questions at the end. Are there any questions now? I can take some questions now. Any questions? Okay. If any comes up, just raise your hand or yell or do something, and we'll be able to see you. So we're coming to the end now here. Kind of want to hammer a few things home. We've spoken about, yes, Bishop.
If anybody have any questions, you want us to wait till you completely finish
Okay.
the slides, and then we'll take the microphone to them.
Okay.
And you can answer those.
All right, sir. Thank you. And so we just want to emphasize just a few more points here. why the Ashtoken or the Ash Environmental DAO ecosystem or project is different. Okay, I know, no, some of it is obvious, but just want to emphasize things a bit more. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, all right. So we all know that climate change and environmental accountability is a big deal, right? Whether these national governments and these organizations, world bodies, are serious or just giving us lip service, it's a big deal. Um, the other day during the Glasgow event, I think about 2 years ago, $3.8 billion pledge, right? What we want to do is to be able to be a platform, right, where these initiatives, the world can rally around, okay, to implement these climate change solutions or environmental friendly solutions. We have the platform already, okay? So part of our marketing strategy is really to reach out to these world bodies as well. Again, we're not looking at just individual investors or even corporations. We're going big. We are going big. Okay. We want them to realize what we have and how they can, benefit from it. They being these world bodies. Okay. So that then puts a lot of pressure on us to find those unique technologies that have global impact and high upside with respect to job creation, right? And profit generation. Okay. All right. We really want to see ourselves as a model, for the crypto market. Okay, next slide, please. All right, that's just to speak a bit more when it comes to our industry events and things like that. We've already done two already, one in Boston at the Boston Green Fest. We did one last August, and you wouldn't believe the crowd and the attention that we got. Okay, but unfortunately, the ecosystem wasn't ready, for them to come on board, and so we'll be engaging them again. And so those events, industry events, we intend to do a lot. That requires us to build our team, increase our team, right? Bring on more people who we can, bring up to speed on the Ashtoken, the project, the companies behind the whole nine, so that we can send them out to these events, okay? And that's one way for us to also get the word out, to these communities as well. Okay. All right, next slide, please. Okay, this is just to show, again, I spoke about it. We want to be that global platform for the rallying of what environmental accountability. So that means, again, we have to have the right projects, the right companies here on our ecosystem that are making a difference. We know many will come now and try to copycat and emulate what we're doing. We know that, right? But that is a challenge that we want. Okay, and so as far as where we'll be, that's not to say we're going to have offices in all these places or anything like that, but we want to have a great deal of influence. What ultimately is going to happen is this: all these companies that are being backed by the ICE or that are backing the Ashtoken, for anyone to in the future do business with, let's say, GCS Fibers, Record Green Solutions, or Sun Energy, you have to have Ashtoken to do business with those companies. Okay, we want to force the hand of nations to make this a currency. That's it. You want to buy GCS Fibers products? You have to have Ashtoken. That's it. And when you got a company that can employ 500 people per factory, and it's in your country, and that's what it's saying, and we have maybe 5 factories in your country, you're going to participate, right? That's what we want to see happen. That's a big picture we want to see happen. That's it. Okay? That's it. Okay, next slide, please. All right. So here again, we're talking about that 20% profit return that they're going to bring into our ecosystem, to buy ICE tokens. There is an opportunity for those of you who are early adopters, right? Because remember, the Ashtoken ecosystem is a funding platform, right? So you can even find companies. Okay, you find companies that need funding. You bring them to our ecosystem. You are an Ashtoken holder, so you have a vote, right, in how whether those companies get funding or not. If you're able to work with other holders, so let's say all of Raleigh, like the Raleigh community, Ashtoken community, comes together. You put your vote together. You can vote for a particular company to get funded. Well, when you get the company funds, what you tell them is you want a percentage, right, in their equity. Okay? So you give them funding and you have equity in that company. So you become a VC of your own, a venture capitalist of your own, but you're not using your money. You're using the Ashtoken's money. Right? I can explain this a little further, okay? I'm on the side. But this is a big opportunity. I really want you all to consider it, okay? You can start owning stakes in companies without putting your own money in these companies. Okay? All right. And remember that the transaction fees, the 10% transaction fees that the Ashtoken collects for each transaction, 50% of that is shared with everyone who holds Ashtoken as of the time of their transaction. Right? And then we take the 50% that is left, we take half of that in the form of Ashtokens and we throw away. In the industry, we call it burning, right? So we are reducing the amount of Ashtokens in circulation so that what? The price can go up. Okay? So the price can go up. And so we've put in some mechanisms to ensure that there is price activity, upward mobility in the pricing as much as possible. You don't see it much now, but I tell you, as more people come on board, you're going to feel it. And on the transaction fee side, if you even take a snapshot, like a screenshot of your MetaMask wallet once you're in it, and give yourself 3 days and go back and look, you see that your Ashtoken amount is increasing. Okay? Not just the value, the amount of Ashtokens you have is increasing. That's all from the fees that we are sharing in the form of Ashtokens. Okay, next slide, please. All right. This is what it's all about, right? Generational wealth. We want to change our story. We need to change our story. We need to change our story, right? But do we have $2 million, $5 million to go and do that? No. Maybe all it would take is $100, $500, $1,000. That's enough. You find the right crypto project, you invest in it, you hold your peace for a few months, a few years, you'll be fine. We can change our story. It's not exclusive to a certain group, certain people. This is for all of us, especially those of us of the kingdom. Yes, this is for us. We can't shy away, please. Let us not keep this to ourselves because it is happening. It's real. Okay, next slide, please. And here we're just talking about the power that you have as a member or holder of the Ashtoken, right? Because your vote helps in determining what companies get funded and what the DAO or the ecosystem, what the project does with the funds that are received. Okay, so don't take that for granted. I mean, I know right now we just want to see profits and see that our portfolio is going up in value. I know, same thing for me, sometimes, but it's bigger than that. And not to mention, as your portfolio increases and grows, right? Let's do something with it. If it takes some money, let's get into a business. Let's get into something. Flip that into something, right? Use it to buy that business or set up that business or whatever the case might be. So the money keeps working. The money's got to keep working. Okay, we've got great companies here. You can find something else. You bring it up for funding. There's just a lot. And for me, I always say, let's think big picture. Okay, it's not just for us to make that money and spend it away. Okay, next slide, please. All right. So I know that there'll be many times and instances where you want answers and you're curious about what the heck is going on with the project and all that kind of stuff, and you don't know who to call. Are you calling Bishop Burden? Are you calling Fester? Are you calling Bishop Lee or Pastor Jamal Brown? We have a staff, right? I'm going to provide a couple of numbers as well. Um, we just set up a network with Cox. We changed our help desk phone numbers. Is with Cox. Now we changed it to a different company. And because the change is coming, I didn't want to give you the old numbers, right? But once they're up, maybe sometime in the early part of next week, they'll be up, and then we'll pass it on. So with crypto, normally you only communicate with these projects by email, okay? But we know that the group that we're dealing with might not be that familiar, and we really want people to be comfortable and get answers. And so that's why we're providing phone numbers, and we'll continue to provide phone numbers, okay? So that people will be available to answer your questions in real time. In real time. Okay. All right. Next slide has the questions. And so at this point, if there are any questions of any kind, please feel free. Okay. There we go. All right. Okay.
If you have any questions, we're going to.
Yes.
I'll take care of the mic.
What type of products are we looking at for the other companies, like the battery company? I understand it's batteries, but are they doing anything with the oxygen batteries? That's supposed to be the new thing.
All right.
You kick that out.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
All right. So yes, they are right now. They're a battery assembly operation, but they're moving on to manufacturing, right? So they need funding, to be able to make that transition, and so they are aware of this issue, and that was one of the reasons why we partnered with them to bring them on. We know Tesla and these electric vehicle, the EV industry has this big issue with the lithium batteries. I know that even the umbrellas that we have on our decks that we buy from Costco, you all might have heard they've been catching fire. Has anyone heard about that? It's all because of the lithium battery, right? Overheating and things like that. So he's got a way to infuse the fiber that we have. Okay? So it's a win-win. It's a win-win for us. And so now we are making the lithium batteries with our fiber embedded, okay, for the market. And so we're complementing them. Yeah, the operations. Okay. I think that was
Okay.
yes.
Another question?
Up here, Bishop.
So what happens with the companies for whatever reason that they don't produce?
Okay. All right. Good question. Because the funds we give them are grants, right?
Right.
Okay. So we have a business analysis and evaluation. We don't just just give them the funding. So they go through a process of evaluation analysis to qualify for the funding. And then we don't have control over their company, but we have insight, right? And there are some metrics that we put in place so that we can get some weekly reporting as to how they're doing, so we're keeping up with their sales, their revenues, and all that kind of stuff. We have a company we bring it on board to do all of that for us. We're outsourcing that. Yes. And so while we won't be providing funds or these grants blindly, not at all. We're not experts at it. That's why we've contracted with a company. We've outsourced that out to make sure. But in the agreement, the funding agreements, the Ashtoken or the Ash Environmental DAO will have the rights and the abilities to monitor its operation so that we can see anything ahead of time. All right? Yes. So, and again, we're not funding people's hobbies. We look for real companies with very technologies that can be tested. They've been tested. We don't mind that they're prototype phase and they're just going now to the commercialization phase. We don't mind that, but it has to be a real company, real innovations.
So who is we that's looking at these companies, and how are these people getting paid? So if you're going to outsource, how is that?
Yeah.
How does that show?
So there's a company called Pear Energy. Well, Pear Energy is owned by a gentleman called Robert Polin, Bob Polin, Dr. Polin. Dr. Polin, his father, his family used to own the Washington Wizards and the Cap Center in DC. And he has this company called Pear Energy that does sustainable project financing. All right. So he's been doing what we're trying to do, but he's been on a small scale. So he's been giving these grants, his team has. And when you say, how are we going to pay them? For every crypto project, there's a budget set aside to handle operations. So consulting, it's all part of the operation. So there's a budget for it. Yeah. So as the fees come in and all the kinds of things, the transaction fees, all of that will go, to handle those operational costs and things like that as well.
So, do we have access to that information? Like, if you're a stockholder, you have access to who is doing what and
Oh,
financials.
all
and
of yeah,
that?
yeah.
Okay.
So it's not so much a stockholder, right?
I mean,
This
like,
is
I'm just
yeah,
as an example.
yes. So we have in the white paper of the Ash token, right? If you go on the website, there's a white paper document. It spells all of that out. Who the service providers can be, what they need to do, what the obligations of the Ash token management team, right? So the Ash token management team, there is a board of directors, if you will. They call the navigators, right? Navigators. They'll be the ones to kind of like also evaluate these companies on the inside, right? After the consultant does his research and all that kind of stuff and gives the analysis, right? Then the navigators take it on, and then they present it to like the community of Ash token holders for a vote. Now, any Ash token holder who has, I think, it's like 2% holding or more, can call a vote, can say, hey, I want to vote on this topic, meaning you want more information and then you want a vote, depending on where you want that decision to go. So,
That was my next question.
okay.
Who gets the vote?
Oh, well, everyone gets to vote. Everyone gets to vote. But who can initiate a vote, right? You have to have 2% holding or more.
Okay. So is that how we got to the companies that you had up on the screen because of the 2%ers?
Oh, no.
Okay.
Yeah, so the companies we have on the screen were just funded through our business development, right? We need to find companies with unique technologies that we can fund, right, to be part of our ecosystem. So that's how they came, right? Or they also heard about us and then they applied for funding, right? So that we're not at the point where people have to vote for them yet, right? They've just
got you.
applied, and it's no guarantee that they're going to get funding because there has to be a vote, right? Okay.
So I just got one more question.
Yes, ma'am.
About the coal, the other project, because you didn't talk about that at all.
Okay.
So do we know what's happening with that project?
All right. Yeah, the GCS fibers. Yes. All right. So for the GCS fibers, we had to raise about $2.5 million to move into our new factory in South Korea. We had a place where you all know the story. We need to move into a new place, and so we had the funds, but a bit of it late last year had to go into paying for arrears because we have a staff there, right? That's left over. And so we spent about maybe $500,000 or so to cover some arrears, rents, and salaries. So now we have to go back and raise that gap, okay? And we have an investor, a current investor, that is working on providing that funding for us. And just a second here so that you might see. We think that about 10, maybe in 2 weeks, we should have those funds on hand, right? And then we'll be able to move forward. Okay. Yeah, I have the email here on that funding, and so that's where we are with that. We've not moved into a new building yet. We have identified a building. We've negotiated everything already. We just need the funds to come so that we can add it to what we have and move in. And so hopefully in 2 weeks we can close that out, and then we'll be able to move. If we're able to move in. Probably by the end of May, we can still be operational within 4 months. The 4-month timeline we gave earlier was really for the winter months. South Korea gets really cold, as you know. So now that we're in the summer and the warmer months, we think we can actually do it in less than 4 months. But we're giving ourselves the same 4-month window just to have, like a buffer and be able to manage our expectations. Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions?
said, just trying to get my question together. Um, a two percenter can call a vote. Um, how do we determine? Is that determined by the number of ash tokens a person holds? And if so, how many ash tokens would that equate to today?
All right, good question. So his question was based on the fact that I stated, well, we have it in our governance framework that you have to have 2% hash token holding before you can call a vote. How is that determined, right? Okay. Um, there's a site like BSC Scan. It's a site where when you click on the ice token contract, or if you go to BSC Scan and you paste the ice token contract, it will give you all the wallets, right, that have ice tokens. And so you know yours, and it's ranked from 1 to 10,000, 100,000, however many wallets there are. So you know where you rank, right? And as far as like the percentage, it's just an easy configuration, right? We have the total amount of ice tokens, 10 trillion, but then we have about 4% of that we've burned already, right? And so what's left out of that will be on that page at any given time, and then you'll be able to do that easy math. Yeah. Because your wallet will not tell you that it's 2% or whatever. So, yes, sir. Good question. Yes, sir.
Okay, so what is the status with Duke Energy,
Okay.
North Carolina, actually all
Okay.
the power companies?
Yes. Okay. All right. Duke Energy and Tesla and all those. Yes. But no, Georgia Power. Okay. So for Duke Energy, they had to install 3 systems. The governor asked them to come up with a solution for their fresh ash, not what's in the pond. So there were these 3 CO2 dilution systems that they had to come up with. Each one about $275 million. And they've installed 2 of them. There's 1 more. They were supposed to finish it this spring. They want to finish that before they move over to us to deal with their ash in the storage, right? So we're waiting for them to come back to us. Now, for me, in a way, I like it because I'd rather be in our new factory and reassembling before we engage them again, right? Because then I can speak more specifically, right? If we say, when can we start? I know that we have moved already, we have the funds, in 4 months we'll be operational in Korea, so then you can just work that backwards. So that is the status with Duke. With Tesla, they let go some of their mid-level managers late last summer, if you remember. So the program manager for the lithium battery issue is a new one, and he wants to get his feet wet a little bit. He's evaluating his portfolio, and then he'll come back to it. That's another a situation that's working out for us, because you don't want to go to Tesla and let them know that you're still trying to get yourself together, right? And we want to be in a position where we have as much leverage as possible. Okay, so I think this one also, I'm not pressuring them. I want to move into a new place, and then we knock on their door again. Okay, so that is where we are. Georgia Power is also crazy interested. They have 105 million tons of coal ash in Georgia alone, right? We're not talking Kentucky, Tennessee, these other states, right? And they've come after us. They've asked for a proposal, but what they want us to do is partner with EPRI, an organization called EPRI, which is the Electric Power Research Institute, right? They want us to partner with them because all the utility companies give EPRI funding to do research for them. And so they want us to kind of work with EPRI to prove the technology to them. But they want to host the machinery that we're going to use for that project, right? So they want us to come to a power plant they have in Georgia, bring our machinery, and that is where they want that test bed operation to go through. So we're still working with them. The state of Georgia has not given them the mandate to excavate and move out their ash yet, so they feel they have a bit more time. But that's also still on the drawing board for us. Yes, that's not gone by the wayside. Yes, ma'am. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I address that? Okay. Okay. Okay, so the question is, do we know of any competition, right, rivaling our technology when it comes to GCS, right, the manufacturing company? Okay, um, my biggest, my biggest concern, as one can imagine, is making sure that we're able to protect our technology. Okay, we don't have an open door. There's not for us into, eternity. People, there are more smarter people out there, right? To date, we don't have competition that's doing what we're doing at this scale. There's one company in China that claims to be making insulation from coal ash, but they use wood pulp. They use wood as part of their process. It's not what we're doing, and their volumes are much less. And they've been saying that since 2012. Okay, and so to the extent that that is valid, we haven't verified it, but we don't think that they have the technology or they can do what we're doing now. What are we doing about future competition? Knowing that there will be competition, right? So the plan is that as soon as GCS Fibers begins operations in South Korea, for instance, we now work with nations like India, China, Vietnam, right? Indonesia. These countries that have a substantial amount of coal ash, but that don't have the friendly environment for us to operate in. We want to work with them through some countries like Ghana, like Liberia, where they can get into trade deals with these countries to take their ash, right? To take their ash, and then we use the ash in the receiving country's market. So we're working with Ghana for one to get into trade deals with China and India. We're working with Liberia as well to get in trade deals with Vietnam. So that is going on now. Okay, that's what we're doing to kind of get a lock on the access to ash. If we can freeze them out, we're good to go, right? And then we quickly capitalize as much as we can. As soon as we start operating, right? Just put up the next factory, put up the next factory, put up the next factory. Next thing you know, we're generating $3 billion in annual profits, right? Then as competition comes, we buy them out. Okay? So that is a sequence of planning for our strategy. How do we keep our competition? How do we control competition? How do we control the market? Okay? And you can figure very soon we'll be so influential in these markets that we're in, we can just go to the government, right? Tell these people to knock it off, or So we don't want to turn into mobsters or anything like that, but we need to preserve the market, right? Yeah. So we do have some plans in place on how to deal with that. Good question, ma'am.
Okay, now if you do have a question, we're going to try to wrap it up pretty soon.
Okay.
We are technically still live streaming, so that's why we want you to speak to the mic.
Okay.
Anything else? Anybody else? Amen.
Okay. All right.
Bishop Lee?
So thank you very much. Right, it's good to see all of you again. Things are going to speed up, for us. We just ramping things up. Okay, to the extent you have some insights to share, even questions, right? Because there's no way we've considered everything. Okay, so please don't assume that we know it all. If you got insights to share, please feel free. Either the number or the staff at Ashtoken email address. Always reference Raleigh, North Carolina, so that I can, that will come to me, and we can give you a special response and a special attention. Okay. Again, let's think big, please. With the proceeds, with what we're about to come into, it's not just for our vacations and things like that, right? We need to break this cycle, right? So let's take what comes out of our investments in Ashtoken and let's put it somewhere, whether it's a business or something like that, okay? That way we can make that money work, right? All right. Thank you all so much, okay? We're available.
Amen. Well, let's give them a hand, and you can